We just jump right on here, we just hit record.
What? This is not your first time. Why did you freeze when it hit 0?
Oh man, did I freeze?
Yeah, it hit 0 and then okay. Well, here we are. Back on the show. How we doing, Ian?
We're here. We just hop on live. I was saying we just hit record. We get on, we hit record. There's no other stuff. You're not missing anything when you're listening to the show. We don't leave anything on the cutting room floor. It's all
We
here.
sure don't. We save all the good stuff for you.
How was your Father's Day?
It was a good Father's Day. It I will say it ended last night with my wife taking a trip to the urgent care. So I didn't drive this time. I stayed home and monitored the situation, but
okay.
Yeah, we have another round of croup, and this time it hit the older boy, and yeah, just last night at 11. So it wasn't 4 in the morning.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Just heard wheezing and gasping, and it was truly terrifying. What is going on here? When it hit the younger girl, it was kind of just she sounded like a smoker, but she didn't really seem, bothered by the whole thing.
Yeah.
But he was like, I'm gasping for breath, which,
gosh.
not the thing you really want to be woken up to on the monitor.
It's always when you wake up to it. It's always the best.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I was so disoriented. And
yeah.
So he ended up going to the urgent care
boy.
last night. I know. So we got some more steroids for him. But that croup stuff, they're just no messing around with that. That's the big deal.
I know. I kind of forgot about all that stuff. I think we definitely had that pass through a few times, but I blocked it out of my mind, It's I don't
so.
remember that.
Scary. Yeah. But before that, good Father's Day. Saturday morning was my gift. So I woke the kids up, got them down to the table, set up for breakfast, and then I was off. So I always wake the big kids up. I was off until they woke up from nap, which is 3:30. So I went out and had breakfast by myself, which is awesome.
This guy.
I texted a friend and said, hey, I'm having breakfast by myself for Father's Day, not sad, happy. Where should I go? Just wanted to get out in front of it because it sounded so depressing.
Right.
I'm having breakfast by myself for Father's Day. So I did that. And then I went to Barnes & Noble by myself.
Whoa.
Yeah, stayed out of the kids section altogether. It's the only thing I'm allowed to see at Barnes & Noble these days section. Is I go and we go upstairs and we go to the kids section and read books about trucks, which is great. I love that.
I used to love that, yes.
It's great, but being able to go by myself and read books that are, aimed at adults, it was awesome. Yep. Then I went to lunch by myself. I got my car washed.
Get this guy.
It was great. It was a great morning. Came home around 2. The kids were still asleep, so I watched, something about, rewilding lands on YouTube, and then, that was a good day.
All right. So that does sound like a good day. And then the rest of the afternoon was just kind of standard, normal stuff.
Well, this will be surprising to you. The rest of the afternoon, we had some friends come over, and you know who those friends are?
Yeah.
Glauber Costa, CEO of Terso, the SQLite company.
Okay.
They moved to Dallas.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
They live 10 minutes away from us now.
The database. The database is coming to you.
Database is in Dallas. So
wow.
Yeah, they moved down from Canada and picked Dallas for obvious reasons, because it's amazing.
Obviously.
And yeah, they live 10 minutes from us.
That's so crazy.
I know, it was wild. So
do they have kids? Or?
They do. 3 kids.
Okay.
Yep. So him and his wife and their kids came over, and everybody played, and it was great fun.
Databases.
Isn't that crazy? It was so fun.
So now, just to double back on the illness for 1 second, you went to urgent care at 11 p.m. or the emergency room?
Fortunately, there was an urgent care attached to an emergency room that closed at midnight. So we got in under the wire at the urgent care.
See,
because last time I took my youngest daughter to the emergency room. They rolled that cart in while she's dying on my chest, and that'll be $795 for your copay. And I'm like, F you. What's insurance even
for? Can you fix us first?
Yeah. So we went to the urgent care.
See, you don't live in the suburbs. Even more evidence. Midnight urgent care, not a thing out here in the real suburbs.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Big city living. That's awesome. Yes. Yep. Oh man. Well, so normally I tell you at these points when you give me your Father's Day stories that just be prepared. It actually
It's
gets
all gonna get
harder. It
worse.
gets
Yeah, you got
worse,
it
right? This is
easy. Yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
role, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, Father's Day gets better.
Oh, that's
Gets
great.
better. Yes, when you get older. I had a great Father's Day because, like, when the kids are little, like, listen, it's mostly your wife doing the Father's
Totally.
Day, right? Like,
100%.
it's
Yeah.
all made up. Here's a card from the kids, right? They scribbled
Yes.
some stuff on it. It's all bullshit.
Mhm.
But as they get older, like in our house, they're big on making the cards. So the kids actually make the
Cool.
cards. They write thoughtful things in the
Crazy.
cards.
Crazy.
They give real time effort. Like they know I like movies and they're not big on movies. So for Father's Day, they're like, we're gonna watch a movie together. We were gonna go to see Mission Impossible, but then they haven't seen any of the Mission Impossible. So I was like, let's just stay home and we'll watch a movie that I know is awesome because I want them to see awesome movies. So that when I have these opportunities, so we watch Road to Perdition, which also has like a whole Father's Day angle to it. I don't know if you've seen
Never
Road
seen
to
it.
Perdition, but
Nope.
awesome movie with Tom Hanks. And
Mm.
so we all sat there, we watched a movie, we got candy, we had popcorn, fantastic
That
little Father's
sounds
Day. So
that
yes,
sounds perfect.
yes. So when they get bigger, that to look forward to. It's like real people doing
Yep.
thoughtful things for you, which is very nice.
Yep.
Really
Yeah,
cool.
it was definitely like I got a card that had this beautiful like handwritten note and then just like, a bunch of scribbles all over it. Which, that's the stuff I live for, but it's very clearly mom's doing the work there.
She put her thumb on the scale there a
Yes,
little
a
bit.
little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. All right. So you got some database action on Father's Day. You
Yep.
got some emergency room action on Father's Day. You
Got it
got
all.
a little time to yourself. Whenever you get the rest, you know you're coming back. Something's going to happen, right? You got
Oh
a few
yeah.
hours of rest.
There's
The other
there's
foot's
a
going to drop.
cosmic imbalance now. He's too relaxed. Let's do something terrible.
Oh
Yeah, it's
man,
exactly right.
time to yourself. That's good. It's important.
Yes, it was good.
Gotta get it.
And very important. So yeah, I sat there and read just like some random books for a little bit. Sat there and just kind of looked around like an insane person for a little bit. And
There's this
then
guy wandering aisle
yeah,
7, like,
this is
yeah.
freak. But then went down to the little the fake Starbucks cafe down there
Mhm.
and sat down and got my yellow legal pad out and wrote, how I'm going to take over the world. So I got to do a little bit of everything.
Yes. I gotta go to Barnes& Nobles. I haven't been there in a while.
It's great. It's
Yeah.
just one, I think it brings back a lot of memories of being
Right.
much younger and doing that. And
Mm,
especially in college, I would go to Barnes and Noble a lot just to like study and hang out.
mm,
Because you don't want to go, you can only go to the library so often. That really gets
right.
kind of depressing. Gotta go somewhere more fun. So spent a lot of time and then yeah, when I was in like high school, I would go over to Barnes and Noble and look at all the like programming books, pick one up and read it, and
Yep.
just good memories there.
Yeah, I love going and looking through the bookstore and just, like, looking at books,
Mm-hmm.
especially back in the day before we had all the information at your fingertips, and it's like, "Oh, there's books, and they have stuff in them, and it's
There's
cool, and you discover
still
things."
there's still something nice about
They got
wandering
some juice.
around and seeing like, what's this book about? I don't know. Let me pick it up. It's crazy.
How the heck does Barnes& Noble stay in business,
I
though?
have no idea.
It's a
I was
huge
thinking, oh
building.
man.
Even if it's less employees than it used to, it's still got 5, 10 people in there at any given time.
Oh yeah, and it's two
Uh,
stories of prime real estate. The books, you can't imagine they're making a lot of margin on the books.
inventory.
I don't know. I have no idea.
I mean, I know it's like 50% toy store at this point. Like that's how we
True.
mostly used it when the kids were young. It's like we go to look at the books, but then like
Right.
now it's all like Legos and all this
Yep.
other stuff that obviously wasn't there when we were younger. And like, so I don't know if that makes up for it because it's like, well, kids, you still kind of have to take them somewhere because buying your toys on Amazon when you get a gift card or something isn't really as exciting or whatever. I don't know if it's that. I can't imagine they're selling enough books purely to
No,
keep
no
these
way.
stores open, right? Like it's a lot of
They probably
books.
have a few super high margin things like toys and stationery. Like I got my
Yeah,
dad a Father's Day card there, and of course it was like $7. I'm
right.
like, okay, maybe you're making some money in the little stationary corner here.
But still, even if their markups 60% on that, it's still,
Yeah, they made
$4.50 or something.
$4. Yeah,
Yeah. Minimum wage is $15. They got 7
yeah.
people working. They
I
got
don't know.
all the overhead. Books, I think the margin on books isn't terrible. It's like 50%, 40, 50% for retail, but like it's still, I mean, that's a lot of books.
Gotta sell a lot of books.
I don't know. I'm fascinated by these physical stores that are still hanging in.
I know it is unbelievable how big it is, and how many people are just like hanging out.
Yeah.
Tons of people just sitting around reading books. Who knows if they ever buy anything? But
I guess the cafe is probably that's pretty expensive, the cafe, and it's like you get people
yeah.
in there reading or playing chess or writing on their notepad and like they're buying a coffee in the Danish and that's high
Yeah.
markup. But
And it's not real Starbucks. They'll always tell you, like, oh, we don't accept Starbucks gift cards here. And you're like, but it says Starbucks. You're like,
I
no, it's not a
know
real
it's so
Starbucks.
annoying.
So maybe they are taking a pretty good cut there.
That seems like it
Yeah.
could be a negative for them at this point because like I feel like so many people when you go to Starbucks, they're like it's just 100% people buying on the Starbucks app, pre-ordering on the
Yeah, I
Starbucks
know.
app.
I know.
Wonder if it was like more of a real Starbucks with a revenue share. I guess that still would give Starbucks a lot of leverage though. So maybe it wouldn't be better. I don't know. All right, well, what's going on this week?
Oh, man, you know,
Videos?
videos. That's all that's ever going on. Now that's the
That's
new
it.
that's the new
How's
focus.
the focus going? Are we still focused?
We're still focused. We're still focused. We're feeling good. I don't know. You probably haven't yet. There's a new panel podcast with Justin and Brian. Did you listen to that one yet?
I don't think I listened to it now.
There's a very most recent one. I think it aired on Friday, and
It's
I
just the
listened
two
to
of
it.
them.
Yeah, it was just the two of
Okay.
them. I listened to it live because I was doing stuff in the office, and I was like, "Oh, this is perfect." Brian is going down the AI cohort teacher course article. He's going down that route.
Is he?
Yeah,
I
so
know.
you're
I
surprised.
saw him tweet something about
Okay.
it. I saw him tweet something about there should be an AI letter,
Yeah.
and didn't you chime in? And there was something about it, but like, no, I did not. Yeah, no idea. I mean, I'm not like surprised, but like I am a little surprised.
So the dovetail here is I'm
Yeah.
not doing it. I'm not doing the AI thing. I'm not doing the AI course thing.
You had your shot. We were
I had
ahead of
my
him
shot.
on this. Yes.
I had my shot, but
Yep.
here are my few things that have made me pleased about this. One is I feel great about focusing on databases. So
Yep.
just saying no to that feels like you're doing the thing you said you wanted to do, which is focus on databases. Like, okay,
Right.
cool. That feels good.
Yep.
Then somebody who works at Tailwind, I forget his name, but wrote a great article about how he uses Claude Code. And I put it in my newsletter because it was just it was a wonderful, practical article. And I learned like there were probably 8 bullet points in there, and I learned like 6 different things. And that made me realize like, hey, yes, you are ahead of the average person, but there are people that are doing way more interesting stuff than this. And then with Brian saying he's going to do it, I'm fine competing with people, but like him saying he's going to do it, this other guy writing this article, Matt Pocock's doing a thing, Kent's doing a thing. I'm like, this is obviously the gold rush, right? This is everybody's trying to catch this huge wave, and there's going to be a ton of competition, and I'm not the guy to do it. So I feel pretty good about it. I feel great.
Good. That worked out.
That did work
the
out.
Guy who's staying in his lane.
Yep.
And executing on the old and boring, but still at the core of everything, pretty much technology.
Yes.
Which, I mean, this has been my lane. Like, help desk software is not new. It's like, yeah, we're selling this old thing that's been around a long time and it's not sexy, although it's getting sexier. But even that, I did a demo the other day. It's amazing. Every demo I've done. So I've been doing the demos since producer Dave left Userscape, right? And
R.I.P.
I talked to Dave about this even previously when he was doing the demo, so it's not like total shock to me. But when you're hearing it yourself, it's always a little different. And nobody wants the AI. Like they're all like, no, we don't want the AI. Like if you're talking to any company that's more than a few people, they're like, nope, is there a way to turn it off? We gotta turn it off. Like,
don't put any of those sparkle buttons all over my UI. I don't want to touch it. Yeah,
like no UI, no AI. We don't want it. Can't have it. Everybody said don't. It's a deal breaker, whatever. It's like okay, like there's no. Don't worry. Like you can turn it off. Ours doesn't even do that much AI to begin with, and you can turn off what's theirs. Yeah, it's fascinating. This sort of where everybody's heads at on it. And like when you're in technology and how much like, everybody's starting an AI newsletter, right? It's like, 7 people starting an AI newsletter, but then like, how long it takes for these things to infiltrate the real, when this was a big company I gave this demo to that everybody would know. And like, they had me fill out this AI worksheet before the demo. And then when they obviously hadn't even looked at the worksheet. And this worksheet had like a million questions about what are you going to do with our data? And they're like, it's going to be off, right? And we're like, yeah, that's fine. It could be off. So it's like how long it's going to take for that to seep into this company and then be like, yes, we want your AI. We want to use it. Like, we're like decades from like
Yes.
this seeping into a lot of places. Some places it'll get into fast, but there's a lot of places where like you actually have plenty of time if you have some AI thing because everybody's not switching over tomorrow. There's a lot of
There are still
entrenched.
companies doing the cloud transition.
Right, exactly. I mean, our best
It's the
customer group.
year of our Lord 2025, and they're still talking about lift and shift to the cloud. Come on.
Yes, and our best customers are by far when people are moving from just using a shared Outlook mailbox to HelpSpot, like, as opposed to, like, we're coming off Zendesk to HelpSpot or
Mhm.
whatever, like, those are much more complicated and more when they just come from Outlook and they already know all the exciting parts when they're coming from Zendesk, so then it tends to just be more about, like, it's about money or it's about they don't like something the other company does or whatever, but, like, when they're just coming from Outlook, it's like when you show them a tool that helps them, it's like they're like, "Whoa, it does this. Whoa, it does that." Like the demo just does itself, right? Because they're like surprised and excited about every feature you show them because they're like, "That sucks when you just use shared Outlook, and that sucks when you just use shared Outlook."
Mhm.
So, and there's still a fair amount of those. And this is like however many years later, you would think, well, everybody knows there's software that like collects
Right.
your email and assigns it to people. Like,
Multiple people can work out of one inbox. And
right,
you're like,
right.
whoa,
Like
that's
there's tools
amazing.
for this instead of just a shared mailbox, which is absolutely horrible for this purpose. They're still out there, big companies with shared
Yep.
mailboxes answering emails. There's time. There's
There's
time. But,
time.
the big winners happen early, which is why
I
everybody
agree.
gets excited, right?
I agree.
Like, but at the same time, you can still make a nice living on things that are old and boring.
Yes, I think so. So one more thing on Brian Castle. One
Mm,
interesting thing he said was he feels like his instrumental components thing, the
mhm.
Rails kit, UI kit,
Yeah.
feels like he got the timing completely wrong on that, which I thought was an
Okay.
interesting take.
It's
And I
not
think that
doing as
yeah, the
well as you'd like.
thesis I don't know if he mentions how well it's doing or not.
Okay.
But his reason for saying that was
Mm,
basically like the AIs produce React. Like they produce React code, and then I came in here with a UI kit that is, Rails, Turbo, whatever it is. I don't really know.
okay.
And people are just going to be like talking to the AIs and getting React code, and there's no place for this component
Mm,
library, which I
hmm.
thought was interesting. I don't know if it's that airtight, but I do think
Mm.
it's interesting that like even when Claude knows I use Vue.js and it still sometimes spits out React. So it is interesting to think of like where as a UI kit, where do you integrate in the age of AI, or like where do you get your foothold almost,
Yeah.
especially if the AI doesn't know about it. So that sounds tough to me. I'd be curious Caleb's take on that, or even Adam's as he's
Yeah.
doing this new like this new headless web component thing.
Mm.
Just sounds like it's hard to get a foothold if all the machines are producing React.
I guess. I guess that could be true. I don't know. I'm not sure I'm
You don't buy
totally
it.
I don't know if I totally buy it. I mean, I think it's obviously true that React is the big dog, right? Like,
Hmm.
I think that was true before the AI, really. Like, I mean, all the biggest component libraries
Yep.
were React, all the best, open source component libraries were
Yep.
React. Like, this was all true before. I don't know that AI is like the total thing with that. And obviously that's not like a place you want to commercially compete in because
Hmm.
all the best open source ones are really good and free and React. So you don't want a React component library, of course, and commercial one. But I don't know. I feel like these niches are where you make. I mean, I feel like Caleb feels like he's done pretty well.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly, but I feel like in listening to him talk about it, it seems like he's done pretty well. I think it's more like you still ultimately. This is like. I mean, I think about this all the time. Like the last couple weekends, I've been chipping away a little idea. I got something
Oh,
simmering. I don't
what?
know.
You're holding out on me.
I don't know if it's a side project yet. Even it's like it definitely breaks some bootstrapper rules. So we'll see if it becomes a thing. But before we
Okay,
get to
we got
that,
to
but
talk.
like
We'll
so,
put a pin in that.
put a pin in that for a second. But I've been using the AI because I'm like, whatever. It's the weekend. I'm doing other stuff, but I send the AI off to do stuff. I come back, and I don't know. I feel like it's still an area where like it's so clear that like yes, you can have the AI do stuff for you, but you still have to have like the business idea. You still have to have the market. You still have to have
Sure.
the distribution. Like you still need all these things. And so I don't know. I just think it's easy to say, well, it's React's taking over everything, but I just don't know if that's true. I feel like there's a lot of people who are like, I'm heavily invested in Rails and Stimulus. And I mean, there's millions of developers like that. So like,
Mhm.
can you find the angle that reaches those people and says, hey, you don't have to learn. React sucks, right? Remember that time 2 years ago we tried to learn React and it was terrible? Guess what? It's still
Yes.
terrible.
Still
And
terrible.
you
Somehow
can just,
worse.
right, it's gotten worse. And so instead of doing that, you can do this other thing and like provide an MCP server for it or whatever. And like,
Mm,
I use the MCP server for Flux, which is not even an official thing, and it works pretty well.
for
I
gathering
pointed,
context about what's available and
yeah,
stuff.
so that it can use
Cool.
Flux. It writes reasonable Flux, the AI, and
That's kind of
like,
cool.
or I just point it to the docs. If I know it's something that's like, I don't know if it's gonna like really nail this. I'm like, here's the docs for the the Flux table. Make sure you
Yeah.
read this, right? And then it reads it and it builds the Flux table correctly, and it's fine. So like,
That's cool.
I don't know. I think
So you
there's
don't
like,
agree with the diagnosis. You think there's
I mean,
still
I
meat.
haven't heard the
There's still meat on
podcast.
that bone.
I feel like there could be meat on the bone, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like if I was gonna take like lessons from the Caleb end of it, right? It's like, well, Flux is built into the official starter kit of
Right.
Laravel, right? That's a huge advantage. Uh Caleb has a big kind of user base and mailing list of people
Mm-hmm.
who directly use like the equivalent of Rails for Caleb, right? Of like they directly use Livewire. He's got a direct connection to them. He can sell to them. So like maybe there's more work that needs to be done on like how do I get into the Rails community to really sell to them.
See, that's the trick. You got to spend 5 years grinding on a open source library for no
Yes.
pay, and then you can,
Yes.
you can make it up on the back end.
Like you said, we
Yeah.
don't know how he. I mean, I assume if it was making tons of money, he wouldn't be saying these things. So I assume it's
Yeah.
not making tons of money. So like, I still am a little dubious on the pricing he picked too. I just think like subscription for a component library. Like I don't know. I was really with Caleb. Me and him talked about this before he launched Flux, and I was like very adamant. I thought it's the wrong model. I just think it's an aspirational buy so much of the time. You just want people to be like, whip out the
Yep.
wallet, they buy it, they're done, they move on with their lives. Maybe
That's
they
what
use
I
it,
did.
maybe they don't.
Never used it once in my life, but I was like, "Ooh, this is exciting! Hey, support my
Exactly.
friend. That's so
Yeah,
fun."
exactly.
But if
So
it was a subscription, I would have been like, "Ugh, sorry,
right.
bud."
Even though it
I'm
might have been like, oh, 5 years I'm going to pay the subscription for,
right.
to make up to the equivalent amount, which actually isn't the case with instrumental dev. I would still feel like, I know
Mm,
I got to. That's a
that's a
mental weight of a
background
thing.
process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Whereas if I could just be like, oh, here's a donation of a few $100 to Caleb, fine, great, I'm doing it,
Right.
right? And even just for, I mean, obviously Tailwind UI forever has been non-subscription. So anyway, I will listen to that one though. That sounds interesting.
Listen
I
to that
like when
one.
they get into the businessy stuff.
Man, me too. Maybe we should have Brian on sometime.
Oh yeah,
We can talk to him. That'd be fun.
I love to hash out people's
I know
businesses.
that would be good. You do great in that role. That's what I meant. Maybe we should have Brian on and you could talk to him.
Oh no, we're gonna talk to him.
I have a note on Tailwind UI, an interaction I had out in the wild, in the wide world.
Ooh, okay.
But first,
Mm.
this podcast is brought to you by Native PHP. Join the revolution. Build awesome native mobile apps without leaving your happy place. Get 10% off your first year through the end of June 2025 with code mostly technical. That's almost here at the end of June 2025. So use code mostly technical. You can find them at nativephp.com/mobile. This podcast is also brought to you by Forward MX, an email forwarding service. Great for side projects. Collect all of the emails from your different domains in a central inbox like your Gmail and reply from your domains using our SMTP functionality. So for all you side projectors out there, go to forwardmx.net if you want to wrangle your emails. Okay.
We jumped on so early today that normally the one thing we do is organize
the one
ad
thing
read.
we do. Yeah.
We didn't even do that. We were
Yep.
so excited to get in. We just had to get in. All right.
I just went for it. I think last
Yes.
week I did 3 and I did the top 3 and I went second. So I'm doing
Dude.
the bottom 2. Just went for it.
Before we got on, I had pre-processed this and I was like, okay, I'll do the top 3 second. And we're on the same page.
Look
we're
at that.
Just yin and yang here.
That's what professionalism looks like,
Yes.
folks.
Yes.
All right, my Tailwind UI story in the
Okay.
wild. So
Yes.
couple months ago, a friend that I hadn't talked to in 10 years texted me. They were I think his wife is a friend of Jennifer's, and so we went out a few times, pre-kids, long time ago. Hadn't talked to him in a while. He texted me and was like, "Hey, I've got some Postgres problems. Can you help?"
Oh,
And
shit, look
then
at
I
you.
know, it's crazy. And then I forgot about it. And then I texted him back recently and was like, "Hey, I forgot about this. Do you still need help?" And he's like, "Yeah, let's go grab lunch." So we went and grabbed lunch. First thing, great bit of comedy. You'll super appreciate this. He walks in with his backpack, and I'm like, "Oh, we're gonna we're gonna get out the computer here at the restaurant and like do some work." And he said, and I didn't bring this in, just for you. I can show you some of the database stuff, but a couple months ago, I I lost my keys inside my car. So I can still start the car, but I can't lock it. So I don't know where they are. So I just bring my computer in everywhere I go, but
Okay,
they're
there we
somewhere in the
go.
vehicle, so I can still drive. And I told him that is just the greatest bit of
That's a
like
great
opening
story.
comedy that you could possibly have is I lost my keys inside my car months ago. And you
That
know
is
what?
too much.
we just go with it. So this guy is I don't know if he's like CTO, co-founder, whatever, but he works
Mm,
at this pretty big company. And he's either the founder, co-founder, or like the first engineer. I don't really know.
mm,
But he works at this big company, and we were talking about his problems with scaling. They're growing super fast, doing amazing. Talking about that and how his time is so limited, and then we were talking about like my business, our business, and how we can sell into more companies that like have like big like these big old kind of companies, how we can sell
mm.
into those more. And one of the things he said was he brought up Tailwind just on his own. He's like, so for example, with Tailwind, I pay Adobe Creative Cloud every month for who knows what and who knows how much, and I've
Right.
gotten way more value out of Tailwind, and I paid them once like 8 years ago, and there's nothing
Eternal
else.
issue.
It was like I was listening to every podcast Adam's ever been on. The guy was like, I would love to give Adam more money, but there's nothing else I can buy.
Right.
And like, if he had just made it subscription, I would have been paying for the past 8 years because I get
Yeah.
more out of that than I do out of Adobe Creative Cloud. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I heard that one before,
We've
but I
heard
just thought
that.
it's
Yeah.
it's so interesting to
It's
hear
so
somebody that's like
funny.
not in the bubble. Like he's
Right.
not. I don't think he's on Twitter at all.
Mm.
But to hear him say the exact same things that Adam has been lamenting about his business model for so long, this guy's like, yeah, I would love to give him money, but I can't.
But you have to wonder. See, I think that there's like so like you now know 8 years later how much value you've gotten out of it. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I
But
do.
when he really was right there and he plunked out his credit card to pay that money, what did he know? Did he feel confident he was getting 8 years of value? You know what I mean? Or was it like,
I
oh,
know.
I bought it on a whim and now it's worked out and that's been great? Like, I don't know. I just am
Well,
very
his point
dubious.
his point was it's company money, so he doesn't care.
Sure.
And so that's the
That's
thing that I
sort of
think,
true.
well, I don't know. It seems pretty true. Seems pretty true to me. He was like,
Yeah.
we pay this much for this, and
Right.
we pay this much in salaries. Like, I do
Yeah.
not care. All I want is
Yeah.
more
Right.
Tailwind UI stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think that it's like it's also big picture though, right? Like what percentage of Tailwind's revenue is big company buyers who
True.
literally
I don't
don't
know.
care, you know? And how many are like just individual devs or small agencies or things like
Yep.
that where they actually do care more? Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like I think it's a pretty
Yeah,
high
I
percentage
personally
of that.
wouldn't pay a subscription for Tailwind UI,
Right.
but yeah, I don't know. I
I
don't know.
would, I think, because I do
See?
like it as a fill-in for like even when I'm using Flux for stuff, it's like sometimes there's just not a thing, right? And it's like, well, I
Hmm.
can like grab something out of Tailwind UI and tweak it and whatever. So I go between them, but yeah. But if I didn't know Adam and I was like in the sort of market for components, I don't know. You know, that's a
Still a
whole
tough
other
sell.
world we've talked about of like big time component libraries that do everything in the kitchen sink with
Yeah,
all the logic
the
and every
.NET
like all
ones and
the
all
right,
that.
the
Yeah.
whole thing, much heavier than Flux or Tailwind.
Hmm.
That's a little different, I think. But yeah, I don't know. but those things are weird too. That's their own. That's almost like you
That's
can't
a
build
whole, yeah,
a.
you can't compare.
Yeah, it's not even like building it. You don't. People don't build products with those really. It's like more for internal corporate
Right.
use. Like that's their intention. So it's like, yeah, it's all kind of janky a little bit, but it also like saves you a ton of dev time because here's a fully functional calendar with
Right.
all kinds of hooks and everything. Right? It's like
And your only users are back office employees, so it
right.
doesn't matter what it looks like. Yeah.
Exactly. Here's a janky sort of quasi janky thing, but it all works and whatever. And there's somebody we can call if we needed to do something
Hmm.
different and all that stuff. Um,
But yeah, it was good. He was
yeah,
helping me,
that's
like,
interesting.
yeah, he was telling me all the like stuff that they use inside their pretty big at this point company. I think he said they
Mhm.
have maybe like 100 employees or something like that
Wow.
now.
Yeah.
And was saying like you got to do Redis, you got to get into like OpenSearch or Elasticsearch,
For
like you got
you.
to teach for me. You got
Yeah.
to teach all of these things that are like, and one of his very interesting points was you got to look at some of the things that AWS offers because
Mm.
there are like AWS shops. He was like, we're an AWS
Right.
shop. So the
Yeah.
reason we don't have a hosted database provider, like one of these cool hipster database providers, is we keep everything in AWS. That's just what
Same.
we do.
Preach,
That's just
brother.
all we do. Yeah.
Give me AWS.
And so he was like, you got to go look at, OpenSearch and,
Yeah.
Redis or Valkey, whichever one,
DynamoDB.
DynamoDB. Like you just got to go where all of these
I
AWS
totally
shops
agree.
are spending their money, see
Yeah.
what they're using, and then teach on those things. And I was like, oh, that's actually a
Couldn't
pretty
agree
good
more.
idea. Ah,
Oh,
great. Way to
I just
go.
think we've talked about that on here. I feel like there's like, I mean, there's like going the full Amazon route, which is I think maybe not totally
Yeah.
where you want to go, but
No.
there's like the sphere of databases, the like next rung out, right? Is like
Yep.
not just purely, Postgres and MySQL, right? It's like, yeah, vector databases and
Yep.
DynamoDB, whatever weirdo thing you want to consider that, right?
Yep.
And Redis and ClickHouse and that next single store, whatever that thing is called, whatever. There's that whole other next level of like, what is it? It's sort of like a cachy thing. It's sort of like a highly
Right.
scalable thing, or yeah, search. I think search would be an interesting angle
Search
because
would
you're
be an
always
interesting one.
it's very related, right?
Yeah.
So doing Mealy Search and Open Search and whatever, a couple other ones, I think would all make sense. But that's kind of interesting. Is like, do you need to adjust your model for these to some degree so you
That's
can make them faster? Do you know what I mean?
Yes, and that's part of why we got on the Tailwind topic. Was I was telling him everything I do is one time sale, and he brought up Tailwind.
All right.
And his point for me was, as whatever leader he is, let's just say founder, as founder of the company, he wants to just be able to like say, "Hey, give me another seat to the
Right.
training." And when a new person starts, you go watch the Postgres one and you watch the Redis one because they're
Right.
both, we use those in the stack. We trust this guy. Go watch those courses.
Yep.
And that he was saying is more, he would prefer it just be a subscription. And like,
Yeah.
I churn out stuff and he pays a subscription and his people can watch it.
Yeah.
And I think that, I think I told him I got to get to the point where the catalog is there so that I
Right.
can flip that switch. Because right
Yeah.
now we're not moving fast enough on the course side, and we don't have enough that it doesn't make sense. So I
Right.
think bringing in the scope of an individual course and building up the catalog, I think at some point we could get to, you can buy them individually, but it makes more sense to just subscribe. So
Yeah, I think it's because your core audience is not this guy, at least right now, I would say.
Right.
Like, I think, right, it's like the people you reach most effectively are more individual devs or people probably don't have the ability to say everybody is using this in our company, right? So it's like,
yeah,
I think you still want to sell it individually, but then if
Mhm.
once you get to like, yes, that enough of it, whatever, feels like a holistic solution, then yeah, you have like, here's the per seat annual subscription for the whole catalog. And then, but you can still buy them individually if you're just a guy and you just want the Redis
Yep.
course. Great. You just pay us $100 or $200, whatever it is, and do it that way. Like then you can have both and they're correctly positioned for each group. Right. So I think that makes total sense.
Yeah, the guy, I've mentioned him on here a few times before, but the guy that I met at that conference who actually does teach .NET, that's how his is set up, is you can do a subscription or you can pay for the courses individually, and they're priced such that it's like the Six Flags season pass thing. It's like,
Right.
well, should we just get the season pass? Yeah,
Right.
probably. If we go
Yeah, so you can
twice, it pays for
upsell.
itself. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And so that's kind of how his courses are priced. It's like 99 for a course or like 49 for a subscription. Like, wow,
Right.
boy, that seems to make sense.
Yep.
So I think that could work in the future. But again, got to build up the catalog first and got to ship more, I think more like not bite-sized but smaller courses, like 3-4 hours versus
Yeah.
12-13, something like that.
Yeah. I think so. Because also I think there's actually a tremendous value in like, even if you were going to do 12 hours on whatever technology,
Yeah.
it's like, I think it's just better to have it be here's 4 or 5 on an intro and 4 or 5 at advanced, and then people know what they're supposed to take. Like I already know the basics of Redis, so I'm going to do advanced Redis, and like first, like it's all munged in this one course, and now I have to like figure out. It might even be sort of intermixed in some ways, like
Totally.
the parts I want to see, right? So like could break that out, and
Yep.
also makes the subscription more appealing because it's like, oh well, I'm gonna want both at some point or whatever, especially if I have a team. And yeah, I like that. Well,
So
all you gotta do is make tons and tons of videos. So
no, well, that's the path I'm on. So that's good news. If that's all I got to do, that's easy.
how's the prep for the next one? The one upcoming here. Did we start prep yet, or not?
We haven't started prep. No.
Okay. Because it's not till October.
It's not till October. Yeah. So in a little bit of like a planning phase. So trying to figure out where do I draw the line between mastering Postgres and just enough Postgres, or whatever we end up calling it. And what do we fill in between now and then? So we're trying to get another course before now and then, hopefully maybe even 2, but would like to do sponsor first on those. So we're trying to figure out what that's going to look like. But yeah, no prep yet, fortunately, because that one's not for quite some time.
Would you try to keep doing? I mean, obviously it's like ideal if you have sponsors for all of them, but I wonder if like I can see the sponsors slowing you down, right, to some degree, potentially too. So like as you branch out to some of these other things, it might sometimes make sense to not wait for that or be beholden to certain economic criteria that they want to have with it or whatever. So
yeah, I think at some point that goes away. I think at some point we've got enough going that we don't need to, de-risk the courses with sponsors. And maybe that is like, hey, we landed a pretty big one for October, and so we're going to fill in 2 between now and then that have no sponsor. So like maybe that's now for certain courses, but not for all of them, if that makes sense. Maybe we still try to get flagship ones sponsored pretty heavily and then fill in with like intro to SQL. I don't know that anyone wants to sponsor that, but that would be a good like thing to have.
What do you think about double dipping?
I love double dipping.
Okay. So you take the videos from this Redis course, you put them on YouTube, let's say the first third, the first half of them.
Okay.
And because what I'm thinking about here is Brandon Sanderson, author
love him,
we talked about
friend
before,
of the show.
right? Friend of the show, Sanderson. When he has his big releases, he's released like about a third of the book usually in pre-release chapters before and then people still buy the book.
I see.
So can you double dip on like this becomes your YouTube marketing growth? You're talking about the thing you're releasing. You're actually releasing the thing you're releasing. And, and then I don't know, like I think some people are just gonna get that content for free. That's fine. Who cares? It builds your audience. Some people are going to actually convert directly. Tons of people who aren't going to know you even did this on YouTube are just going to buy the course anyway, right? Even though maybe they could have gotten the piece that they wanted on YouTube, right? Who cares about all that? It's like, doesn't even matter because like the world's a big place and you just got to keep pushing out into more of those people. And then it takes some of the pressure off you having to like come up with so many YouTube videos on top of so many course videos. It's like maybe at these points where you're doing courses, you can just double dip them. And I don't know if that would work on YouTube. Maybe people wouldn't like it if it's part of a course and it's weird out of context or something.
It's
but
better than a poke in the eye, I'm sure. So what you're saying is a part of leading up to the launch, be dripping these things out and say like, hey, this is what you're going to get. This is coming. Yep. That's a good idea. I like that idea.
Builds the whole like where people didn't know about screencasting, right? It's like, well, if you do 2 months of Redis videos leading up to the Redis course,
they're gonna know.
People are gonna know. Like, could be something.
That could be something.
Come up with different videos about Redis and like all that whole thing of like, well, what's the slightly different angle for YouTube video?
Right.
Blah,
Gosh,
blah. Like,
that's exhausting.
Yeah, you already did it. Like, this is the stuff. I'm putting it out there. Especially if you're like pure database guy, because it's like, here's my database guy. This is me teaching you database stuff. Period. There it is. Boom.
That's interesting. I like that idea.
Could work. It's worth trying
my
it.
only caveat, and I don't think it matters,
Mm,
is the course videos are much more academic. They're kind of slower paced. They're not like YouTube videos,
right.
but I don't think that matters.
I think it doesn't.
Like, I know
It's,
that these videos aren't going to pop off and be like huge channel
sure.
growers. That's
Yeah.
fine. But if 5,000 people saw a video of me teaching Redis and was like, hey, you're going to learn more Redis over here, that's
Yeah.
better than 0 people seeing that.
Definitely. And it just keeps your channel active, right? It's like, okay,
Right.
so you're still going to do more of like the traditional, it's a little catchier
Right.
YouTube videos, right? So you keep those going, but
Yep,
maybe
yep,
there's
yep,
one a
yep,
week
yep.
of those and one a week of the academic Aaron in the lab videos, right? Which is just pure content. I mean, I don't know. I don't know enough about the YouTube end to know if that's such a negative that it hurts the channel sometimes. But I see a lot of these, or it could be a separate channel. You see, like I know a lot of the chess people do that, where it's like, there's the main channel,
Right.
and then there's like academic Aaron channel, which is a separate channel that has its own
Yeah,
growth parameter.
I think I'm not going to do that until I start digging a pool or a basement. I don't think I'm going to start a second channel. Once I
Right.
start once I'm out in the yard digging, that's a second channel. But this
That's
still
the alternate
feels
channel. Yeah.
this still feels like developer enough that
Yeah.
it's all
Just put it all
directionally correct.
together.
The same idea as like putting database school on that channel. It's like, it's databases, it's me, it's developers. Like, could I probably tinker at the margins and optimize the database school to be its own channel? Maybe, but I don't know that like, to what end. I don't know that gets me what I'm after. And I think YouTube is pretty good these days about finding audiences for single videos versus like keeping the channel terribly cohesive. But again, if I start doing DIY woodworking, that'll be a separate channel.
That's like different. But yeah, and just like with regular search kind of getting iffy, it's like YouTube search still a thing. And like, having coverage in more database topics seems like, hey, you're just going to get some people in the fold years from now, even, right? Like people search on some Redis topic and I mean, ideally for you is that these are people who want to learn through video, right?
Yes.
So like the more database content keywords you have on your channel, I feel like that's so much better for that too, versus like people who want to learn from text and AI, right, are maybe not the best customer for you. Whereas like somebody on YouTube being like, hey, teach me about Redis caching or whatever, and like boom, Aaron Francis pops up. Like that's a person more likely to buy a video course. So kind of like that alignment too.
I like this. This is a good idea.
All right.
You've gone and done it again, Landsman.
Trying. We got to keep it going.
Let's keep it going. In fact, let's pay some bills right now.
Let's do it. All right. This week, brought to you by WorkOS AuthKit, which I've been using and liking. Laravel 12's new starter kits include WorkOS AuthKit, future-proof your authentication stack with the identity layer trusted by OpenAI, Cursor, Perplexity, and Vercel. Check them out at workos.com. And by Bento, OG sponsor, A1 sponsor, the email sending platform for modern teams, online campaigns, automations, and customer journeys with less effort. Check them out at bentonow.com for all your email sending needs. And Laracon 2025, which is rapidly approaching. Laracon is calling all web artisans, come to Denver, ready to level up, leave ready to ship. Check them out at laracon.us. And we'll be there and we're having a party. All the cool, fun stuff will be happening in month and a half. So we're almost
right around the corner.
Get those tickets. We want this to be the biggest Laracon ever. It's the first Laracon with a mostly technical party. You're going to want to be in
Don't
the
let us
zone
down.
of that.
Don't let us down.
Don't let us down. Help Hank out. We want to sell those tickets. Get that ticket. Come say hi. We will see you there.
I have been having dreams that I'm on stage at Laracon. So things are going well. Things are going super well. But I'm on stage at Laracon and I am supposed to be singing. I'm supposed to be performing.
Okay.
And I don't know how to sing. That's real. That's not in the dream, but it also comes through in the dream. I don't know how to sing. I haven't practiced this song. I don't know the words. And it's like, I'm on stage and I'm supposed to be singing right now. And it's like, I don't know what to do. So come to Laracon. It's going to be great. I won't freak out. I promise.
Dude, you gotta sing now. You have to sing.
Oh man, that would
practice.
be the
Get some
worst.
lessons. You got 6 weeks. 6 weeks to get those lessons.
We need 6 years to make this work. No, it's that bad.
Oh man. Yeah, I had some weird dreams lately too. Maybe it's in the air.
Must be. It's that time of year.
Yeah.
One of my old coworkers is coming to Laracon. So
Okay.
back years and years ago when I worked at that property tax firm, that's all at Laravel, and I hired one of my good friends, and he's still there. He's like taken over as boss over there, and
Nice.
he DM'd me the other day and was like, "Hey, I think I'm going to come to Laracon. It's his first one ever, and he's going to come." So
Whoa.
I put him on the mostly technical party list. We might have
Get
to
him in.
sneak him through because it's
Yeah.
super full. Unless we get a
Friend of the
bigger
family.
venue, might get a bigger venue. We'll
You
see.
never know. Might expand a little, get some people in. Sign up for the wait list if you're interested. There's a chance we sneak a few people in still. So get on the wait list.
I want to hear about this thing you're tinkering on. We put a pin in it. What are you tinkering on? What is it that
Oh
hasn't
man.
yet risen even to the level of side project?
You know I can't. I'm not going to talk about it.
Come
Tom, but
on.
I'll sprinkle. If it happens, you're going to like it. You're going to
Okay.
like it. But I'm going to sprinkle. What am I ready to talk about with this? It breaks a cardinal bootstrapper rule. So this is
Okay.
not, I don't think this could replace like HelpSpot revenue or anything
Okay.
like that. I mean, if it went super well, it could, I guess, but it's probably not that kind of thing. It's definitely the kind of thing I want to use for myself,
Okay.
which is nice. This is not a known product category. So this is the bootstrapper rule it's breaking, right? This is not a thing that exists in this form. And so
being very
that always
cryptic.
gives me a little bit of pause. The upside is that I want to use this for myself. So kind of worst case scenario, if I spend a little time on the weekends and before bed chipping around on it for mostly my own entertainment, if I use it and other people don't use it, not that big a deal. It's a tool I'll use. So I kind of like that. Yeah, I'm not ready to talk about it yet.
Give us a space. Is it email? It's got to be email.
There's an email component.
See?
There's an email component. It's a secondary sort of component, but it is one of the major factors in why I wanted to build this tool. So it's not a sophisticated email tool like help desk, but it is, there would be receiving and sending of emails, because what tool can I build that doesn't require receiving and sending
tool? There's no tool you can build.
Have the pain of sending and receiving emails, but it would be through a third-party service. It would be a SaaS app, so it would take away some of the pain that we have where we directly connect the mailboxes and do all kinds of fancy stuff in HelpSpot. We wouldn't need to do any fancy stuff, so that would be good.
All right.
It's always tricky. There's so much, like, I have a lot of HelpSpot stuff I'm trying to work on, so I don't want to get like too distracted. We have the devs are working on some big HelpSpot Flux update of HelpSpot's admin. There's a lot of stuff going on there. I'm always balancing these things, but at the same time, I'd like to have like a little creative outlet. Usually, as we
love a creative outlet
on before, where it's like there's no pressure, there's no customers. There's nobody who needs anything in particular in this. It can just do whatever I want it to do, and people like it or they don't like it, and that's fine. So that's where we're at. I might be ready to talk about this next week.
All right, I'm gonna keep pushing you. This is good content, and you're withholding it from the show.
When you hear what this is, you're gonna be like, "This is unbelievable content." So you're gonna be very happy.
Yeah, come on, man.
Angle. You're gonna be so happy.
What's the point if it's not content? You gotta
need another week
next week
or two to like decide if I really want to do it and like keep working on it. But we do have a tangential topic that I put on the board related to this, which is I can't work on a side project unless I have a name. Like I can't do it. It's
not real. It's too ethereal.
Frame of reference. Yes, like it's just the name is such an integral part of the whole thing. I need the name.
You're not
like
wrong.
With HelpSpot, I couldn't work on that till I had the name, and I can't work on this till I had the name. So
does it have a name?
It does have a name, I would say. It's there was a couple options. There's an option I kind of like better, but the trademark was like really messy.
Wow, you're so business dad. You're already looking at trademarks.
I did have there were some thoughts of like I could have attempted to maybe acquire the trademark.
Oh
the name I preferred,
gosh.
but like whatever. It's too complicated, so that one's out. But the other thing that always weighs on me in the modern world is like you come up with a name, but what about the domain? And like these two things are kind of at odds for people who aren't aware. The domain has nothing to do with the trademark. Like having a domain doesn't help you get a trademark. Not having a domain doesn't mean you can't get a trademark. All this stuff, it's all unrelated. The trademarks are relevant, or the domains are relevant. So it's like you're trying to find names, ideally, where like you can get a domain that's not like .love or something totally insane, right? And me and Jamie have this constant battle, as this has come up in the past with other sort of side things that I decided to say no to. But like, does the domain matter? And
Mm,
I, as an old timer, feel like
yep.
I want a domain that works with the product. Doesn't necessarily even have to be the identical name, but it like makes sense with the product and like has an extension that makes
Yep.
sense. Even if you can't get the .com, it's like in the whether it's a .ai or .io, or if you're doing like a audio thing, it's .fm, right? Like that's a known thing, or like it connects with the target audience in some way, right? She's like, it doesn't matter. It's totally irrelevant, the domain. And then like, because people just type in their browser and it auto completes, or people type in their browser and they do the Google search and they click the first result, right? All that stuff. So what do you think about this? Do you think the domain's important, or do you think it's irrelevant and it could just be anything, any extension, because nobody's going to ever type the domain directly in?
I hate to go against, the head of the family, but I'm gonna side with you on this one, Ian. So sorry, Jamie. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, I know who's in
whoa.
charge over there,
I
and I
wasn't
know it ain't
expecting
you.
that.
Yeah, I think it matters. I think it
It does
matters.
matter,
It
right?
matters, and I think having a .com matters too. I
I
really
do
do.
prefer the .com.
Obviously, .pizza or
Right.
.animals or whatever. That's all stupid. But
Yeah.
even the only ones I think I'm okay with are
Mm,
.app and .dev if they are apps or dev tools.
right.
But even like I would rather have a filler word, so a prefix or a suffix,
Ooh,
and a
really?
.com
Okay.
than a .ly or .io, I think. And
Interesting.
it is insane to me that people will go filler word plus misspelling. Like, what? Pick a different filler word,
Yes.
or
Right.
they'll go filler word plus bad top level domain. So they'll go
Right.
filler word .ly. Pick a
Right.
different filler word,
Right.
or they'll go something with a hyphen and a not .com. I'm like, what? That's two strikes. Two strikes, you're
Yeah.
out, as they say in baseball. So those are some penalties that I can't get over.
Okay, hold on. I want to dig into this. So now I would say I'm kind of more in the mindset of like the core known extensions I'm okay with, like the .io, the
Mm,
.app, the dot AI
ly
at this point. Not the ly is kind of like
ly is too old.
2003, right, or
See,
whatever. But like, I think I'm kind of more okay with like word that is your name plus one of those, even if it's not .com. With of course the .com being like super extra ultimate bonus points. But you're kind of making me think about that. Like, is the filler word with the .com? Because here's the other problem you have, right? When you pick like word plus not secondary extension, even if it's like one of the better secondary extensions, like you can never get that word anywhere else, right? Like you're not getting the GitHub repo,
correct.
you're not getting the
Yep.
Twitter account, you're not getting the
hmm
Instagram account, you're not getting any of those things unless you are like Kit did it because they have tons of money and they could
Right.
just buy their way through that.
And
But
it's
if you
like
don't have
10,
tons of
10
money,
years later. Yeah.
right, right. If you have 40 million a year in revenue, you can pay
Exactly.
people off to get the Twitter handle, right? But like if you don't, then you're probably not inclined to spend 20 grand or 50 grand or whatever somebody might ransom you for a Twitter handle or whatever the case may be. So now you end up making up words or other weirdo things for all that stuff because you can't even have a unified
Yep.
experience anyway. So it's like Bento now. Now Bento, I think it's just Bento, right? Or does he actually call it Bento now? I think it's just
He just
Bento,
calls
right?
it bento. The company is
Right.
bento.
Okay. It's
And
just
that
Bento.
is the problem with the filler word.
Yes.
Get drip. The company's called
Right.
Drip, but we
Right.
call it Get Drip. Yeah,
Right.
that's a problem. But I don't
Mm,
mind an
interesting.
HQ. I don't mind a get or a use or a
Go.
meet or a go. I
Use.
don't mind any of those.
Interesting.
HQ is a fine suffix to me. Um,
Mm,
yeah, that none of that bothers me as much
okay. As a non.com.
as a non.com, a hyphen, or a non pronounceable, an unpronounceable .com
Yeah.
that's even bad. We don't want an
Yeah.
unpronounceable name.
It's so tricky because like obviously there's examples you can come up with of like invented words that
Yes.
are huge products, right? But it does feel like in general that's not the best strategy. And I
Even
also
like
don't mm,
even like Mailchimp is a great example. Like
mm,
generic
I love
word
MailChimp.
plus random animal. Now
Yeah,
you
I
got a
like
whole
that.
brand. That's just a brand. Like
MailChimp's an excellent brand.
Excellent
Yes.
brand. So that
Excellent.
seems, something, something eagle, something fox, something
You're
whatever.
sending me
Like,
back into the penalty box here, man, because I'm with you. I think you convinced me on this. I like
see?
this a lot. Yes. I really like the MailChimp example because there
Yeah.
is like you're always looking for like what's my angle on the actual branding. You know what I mean? And like
Totally.
when the name doesn't help you, it sucks because it
Yep.
just like you're just running counter to everything. And if I am gonna name some new side project, like I already have the like a pure B2B with a pure B2B name. Like, okay,
Right.
HelpSpot. Yeah, okay, whatever. Like it's totally generic. That's what that market wanted. Fine. But like this would be a little bit different market.
Yeah, go a
And in
little
general,
whimsical.
a little bit of whimsy is interesting. Um, eh, Fascinating, Aaron. Fascinating. So I definitely with you. Hyphens are no good.
Hyphens got to go.
There's a few sites that make it work, but I'm
Nope.
not with the
Nope.
hyphens.
Can you imagine saying hyphen out loud? Mail-chimp.com? You'd be laughed out of the room.
You can't do it.
Can't do that.
I discovered the other day that there's now a .spot extension, which was tempting me slightly for help .spot, but it's like $1,300.
Yeah, save your money. It's no good.
But yeah, I do agree. The .com is the gold standard. It's like the crypto people, right? They love the Bitcoin, right? The
Love the
Bitcoin's
Bitcoin.
the most useless of them compared
Agreed.
to every other crypto. Bitcoin's the least useful, but they love the Bitcoin. It's the OG. The
.com is
.com's
the
kind of
Bitcoin.
the same thing.
It
Although
is.
it's still useful. It's still as useful as the other ones, but it's
way more useful.
It's actually way more useful because it's also like there's no.
That's where the analogy
pricing.
falls apart. Is .com is actually helpful.
Yeah, .com's better in every way.
Yeah.
All right, this is very, very good stuff here.
This is good. This is a win for me.
Branding.
I gotta write this in my journal. Today I convinced Ian of something. Yeah, this is great.
Big win. Big win. Now it's hard coming up with these things, of course.
Of course.
You still have to come up with what makes sense for the product, which is hard. But MailChimp, that one's gonna
that one's stuck. That one's stuck in your head. That's a good one.
With me. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yes.
I think what's the other Datadog? That's the same pattern. Same pattern. It's just like
even like Databricks.
Like
these kind of things that are like Databricks I don't like as much as those other two, but yeah, interesting. Okay. I like where we're at here. So domains matter.
Domains matter. Sorry, Jamie.
.com matters.
.com matters. Yep.
Prefix, suffix, wording.
Prefer the prefix, suffix to the hyphen or the misspelling.
And I think we'd say though a brandable prefix, suffix preferable to the generic prefix, suffix.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah. So like use Fathom is worse than Fathom Analytics. So that's like they just picked a cool name, Fathom, and then a descriptor of like what the business does. That works, and that is better than Get Fathom or Fathom HQ, which says nothing. But I still think MailChimp is awesome. That's 9 characters. That's like brandable. It's got the word in it. Mail. That's great. We love that.
You got me. You reeled me in on this one.
Yes. Love to win. That's
right.
great. So
now I'm excited.
Speaking of winning, as we wrap here.
Yes.
Have I told you about the what time is it game?
No.
That's the game. It's just what time is it? So that's the whole game. But
it's 11:03.
But it's a blast.
Okay.
Here's the game. You're sitting around at home enjoying a fine Tuesday evening. Yeah. You and Jamie are talking, you're drinking a glass of wine. Nobody's looked at their phone in a long time, right? We're just living in the moment. That is when you say, "Don't look at your phone. What time do you think it is?" Oh. That's it. That's the whole game. That's the whole game.
Kramer.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
And so we did Jennifer and I play this quite often. And we're always excited when we realize, we don't know. We have no idea. It could be anywhere between, 8:15 and 9:30. I have no idea. The other night, Jennifer got it within 1 minute.
Wow.
Within 1 minute. I think I was off by like 9 minutes, 9 or 10 minutes.
Okay.
But for all you listeners out there, what time is it? Great game. Super fun game. Got to be in the right, like the scenario has to hit where you haven't seen a clock in a while and you don't really know. Nobody's looked at their phone and you got to pause everyone and say, "Don't look at your phone." And then the dramatic reveal when you get your phone out and you click the lock button and the camera, the clock comes on and it's, wow, I was so close. We have also tried to play What Temperature Do You Think It Is? But that's way less fun because it's like, well, we set the house to 72, so I bet it's 72. Yeah, so we don't play that one much anymore. But what time do you think it is? Great game. Great game.
I love this, like, examples of, like, a parent of young children just
Oh,
slowly
yeah.
losing their mind.
Oh,
It's like,
totally.
Jack
Yeah.
Nicholson in The Shining here, you're just
Mhm.
watching the slow de-evolution of your brain cycles down to, like,
Yes.
we could play a real game. We could get
No,
up,
no, no,
get
no,
some
no, no, no.
cards out or, like, a
No, no, no,
board
no.
game. All we got time for is this made-up game. What time is it?
What time is
Who knows?
it?
Why are people buying stuff in the App Store? We got what time is it? It
Well,
ships
you
with
can
the
play
iPhone.
this. You know, the hard part is you can't play it too many times in a row because it gets easier.
It's like a once a night
Yeah,
thing.
you gotta
Yeah.
kind of let it cool off for a little bit. But if you find yourself in a situation where the game is playable, I would highly encourage you to play. It's great fun.
Oh, Jamie's a big clock person. She's a big time person. She's a big clock person. There's a lot of clocks in our house. There's clocks all around. You don't want to miss the time. But we like to sit outside, especially in the summer. Got the deck. It's outside. There's no clock out there. Maybe we could pull this off on the outside. Now, outside, you're kind of outdoors, which probably helps a little bit.
I don't know.
Maybe not.
And it's not Price is Right.
Minute,
you can go over. It's an absolute value thing. Yeah.
Just closest.
Yep.
You have prizes?
Just being awesome. That's
just
it.
Glory.
Yeah, just glory. I'll talk about you on the podcast if you win, you know. It's a great game.
Have you ever nailed it? Has anybody nailed
it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We've had a few on the money, and that's like ultimate high fives, freak out. Right. So fun. Great fun.
Oh, this is what the children do to your brains, right?
I'm doing great. I'm just really doing great. Yeah, I'm thriving.
Oh boy. All right, I like this. I like this game.
So y'all play it, report back. I want to hear people introducing what time do you think it is to your spouse, and I want to hear how it goes.
Yes. Put it in the comments up on the YouTube. Let us know how it went. I will play this week, and we'll see how that goes. That's exciting.
Best of luck to you.
Cool.
Hopefully you can win.
I know. Hopefully I'm dialed in.
Hopefully.
I don't know. Feel like the brain's a little fuzzy, a little foggy.
And if you're playing against a clock person, she might have a better innate sense of time. You might be hosed.
I might be in trouble. That's all right. It's good if,
still, it'll be fun.
Down in it. It's all right. It's still fun. Because it's good if she beats me like every time. But then when I do win,
so sweet.
So glorious.
Yep.
Yeah. The victory is sweet. It's like in baseball and you fail, 80% of the time, but then you get that hit. So nice.
Yep. Something I know, baseball. Thanks for putting it in terms I would understand.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I had some movie references in there, some baseball, all the stuff you're into. Oh, man. All right. That's a wrap. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening. mostlytechnical.com. Get those ads in for next month. Up on mostlytechnical.com, you can click the sponsor link, sign up for the wait list for the party, and we will see you next week. Thanks, everybody. Cool.